there was somebody who was really drunk. And we were going through the McDonald's drive-thru, and they just kept saying that they had a hungry.
Oh, cute. I got all hungry.
I remember thinking about it even back then. I was like, I have a hungry. Hi guys, this is What Have You Been Reading? My name is Carla.
And this is Alex. Welcome back to episode 15.
Episode 15.
Pretty exciting.
Yeah.
For us. Okay, can I do some housekeeping stuff?
Do it.
Like random little notes, not related to the book specifically. But
okay.
Same as It Ever Was.
Mm-hmm.
Which was the one that I did not finish, I believe.
Okay.
Yes. Something I keep wanting to talk about that I feel like I keep forgetting.
Oh my god, right. It's the book that you don't like, but you're going to keep going back to.
Yes, kind of like the Dutch House. Exactly. And I'm coming back to it. Well, maybe I should save this for The Haunting of Alejandra because I think it kind of ties into it a little bit. But what resonated with me in that book was that the mom in that book felt super guilty for not being able to handle life, even though she had it pretty easy. Like her husband worked, she stayed home with the kids, and she was just overwhelmed with being a housewife, kind of like The Haunting of Alejandra. But she's like, why can't I handle this? Like, why can't I handle even having like a very simple...
I feel like that's very demanding.
It is, but I will say I feel the same way. Like, I feel like in a lot of ways, Jeff and I have had a pretty, I don't know, like dramaless life. Like, I feel like our marriage is good. Our kids are generally good. They're healthy. We don't have any like major, oh God, knock on wood. But I feel like even then I'm like, woof, this is a lot. And then I feel guilty because I see people and friends and other, people around me having to deal with health crises or, losing jobs and having to deal with like pretty major stuff, And then I'm like, I feel like I sometimes can't handle just the standard day-to-day in a fairly simple. All that to say, again, I think we mentioned this in the last episode. It's nice when you read something that's relatable and you go like, I'm not alone in feeling that way. Like there are other people that kind of recognize that and feel the same.
I think it's normal. I mean, just because other people have it worse doesn't mean that you don't have it bad. Yeah. Right? Like I remember reading somewhere that just because someone else is hungrier doesn't mean that you are not allowed to say I'm hungry. Yeah. And that you don't do that in terms of happiness. Like just because you're experiencing happiness, you don't say, well, that person's happier. You just accept your happiness. So why isn't it the same
for
when you're talking
emotions
about something negative?
Yeah. Yeah. So that was that. I'm sure I'll come back to this book later on that I didn't finish. The other thing
Maybe you should consider finishing it.
Maybe. I've read a lot of British books. I mentioned it before in the sense of like tea, and I love that being mentioned. There's a couple terms that are specific to British books that I get such a kick out of. I think maybe we've mentioned maths before. Yeah. And then the other one that I saw in a couple different British books was saying a McDonald's. Okay. I'm going to go have a McDonald's.
Oh, okay.
Which I thought was so interesting.
I'm going to say something about that.
Yeah.
Because it's McDonald's and it has to do with like saying it weird. I'm not going to say who because I'm not going to call anybody out, but there was somebody who was really drunk and we were going through the McDonald's drive-thru and they just kept saying that they had a hungry.
Oh, cute. I got all hungry.
I remember thinking about it even back then. I was like, I have a hungry.
Such a bitch. I think it's cute.
Yeah, it is cute, but I laughed about it, and I still do.
So yeah, I think that's cute when I see that. And then, oh hi. You got it. You're on the podcast. Guest speaker. Okay. Are we too loud?
Oh, he hates it when I laugh.
Oh, wow.
He hates any sort of happiness for me.
Johnny hates it when we sing. He loves to sing and dance, but like if Jeff and I are like dancing or singing, he looks at us and he goes, "Stop." He's 4, almost 5. I don't know if you saw the story that I reposted on Instagram with jalapeno bell pepper levels.
Somebody else is using our
yes,
what we're saying.
See, and this takes me back to I think the beginning of our podcast when you were like, "There's nothing original," because I saw it, and part of me was so happy to be like, "Oh, we're along the same lines, like we're not, like completely crazy." And I was like, "Oh, that was
mine."
They took it and ran with it and made a pretty cool little post about it.
Wait, okay, did they hear it from us?
No.
Or is it something that they came up with just
truly on their own? But they had like different types of bell peppers or non-spicy peppers, and then it like listed kind of what stuff is included in each of those and how. I thought it was cute, but I
hope that someday someone uses our jalapeno poppers.
Jalapeno poppers.
And for horror stories, they use my ghosties.
Yeah. I do like ghosties.
I like ghosties. And I love poppers. The
other thing, I think when we had Lee on, we were talking about short stories and whether you should count them or not, and how you would organize them on Goodreads. And Andy had a suggestion about shelving those but leaving them unread. So even after you've read a book, you can go back on Goodreads and mark it as unread, so it doesn't count towards your count, but it's still kind of on a shelf. So I just wanted to share that in case anyone was losing sleep over how they're counting their short stories on their Goodreads. I thought that was a really great suggestion. And then Carla, you have etiquette of audiobooks in public spaces.
Oh my god, because I got sick. And I went and I remember texting.
Wait, can I ask you a culinary question?
During that time, yeah.
I'm having pumpkin that Carla's mom made.
Yeah.
Do you eat the
rind?
The rind?
I don't. She does.
Okay.
So it's whatever.
And the seeds, no.
No.
Okay.
It's whatever floats your boat. I do like to open up the seed and eat the inside.
Really?
Oh, I love it.
Oh, okay.
It's the same as when you roast them. They're cooked.
I don't think I've ever...
Stop it. You've eaten pepitas.
I've had pepian. Pepian is a Guatemalan dish.
Is that a mole?
It's made with roasted chilies.
But it's a sauce. It's a mole, isn't it?
No, it's a soup.
Oh. Okay, because there's mole made. It's called pipián. It's a pipián mole. Oh, snap-a-doodle.
Snap-a-doodle. No, this is different.
Okay, well, you can eat the inside of the pumpkin seed.
I've had it. There's a candy in Guatemala that's made, I think they're pumpkin seeds. Well, I will have to try one.
Yeah, pop it open and eat it. It tastes like nothing when it's boiled. It's still, I love a pumpkin seed.
Do you open it kind of like you would like a sunflower seed?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so audiobooks. Etiquette.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so I got sick. So I went to urgent care, and I remember talking to Mike about it via text because I was infuriated. Okay? I was furious about this. I was like, what is this biatch doing here? Being so loud, right?
That's good.
I know. She ate the pumpkin seed, y'all.
It has a more earthy, deeper flavor than a sunflower seed, but very similar to a sunflower seed.
Enjoyable, right? Yeah. So I was at urgent care waiting to be seen, and all of a sudden this girl sits down next to her partner, who, by the way, was there possibly with COVID, unmasked, coughing all over the freaking waiting area. These people were the most assholey people. Just inconsiderate fuckers.
Yeah.
Ever. So the partner is there coughing up a storm.
Oh boy.
And this loud biatch is there sitting there next to the coughing partner. And then the audiobook begins loudly. A loud audiobook in an urgent care waiting area where, like, it's not like, oh, this is a library and you have to be silent. There's always going to be like a freaking crying child there, right?
Yeah.
Cool, whatever, that's to be expected. However, if you're gonna make me listen to your audiobook, don't set it to like freaking Chipmunk on speed.
Oh no. Then you can't even enjoy it.
I can't even understand what that person is saying. I don't know how you understand how that person is saying. So I can't even enjoy eavesdropping. It's like,
did you get a sense at all about what it was about?
Not at all.
How do you think they were?
Fuck that person. I have no idea how she understands what that book is saying.
What was the age?
They were in their early 20s.
Maybe it was like a college assignment that they had to read, so they're just like getting through it, even though they're not listening.
It sounded like
where it just has to say listened.
Oh.
You know, like to turn in an assignment.
Then why was it loud?
Yeah, that's true.
It was so loud. And like I was saying, if you're gonna make me listen to your stuff, then at least allow it to be interesting. Mm-hmm. Don't make me eavesdrop on just like super loud, screechy noise.
Yeah.
No,
honeybee.
So yeah, audiobook etiquette. Get your freaking earphones into your ear holes. And please do not make other people listen to your stuff because you're not that interesting. I'm speaking into a microphone and I know I'm not that interesting. Yeah. I'm not blasting myself all over the place.
And you read good books. Oh my gosh, can you imagine listening to like your scary ghosty books in public like that and then like a kid starts screaming and crying?
That would be the best. I'd cackle like a witch.
That's pretty funny. Yeah, that's annoying. I find that even when people talk on like speakerphone.
Oh my god.
They're just walking around on speakerphone.
Like nobody cares about you, man.
I don't know why it bothers me. Like
because it's rude. Yeah. It's rude. It's rude.
Stop being a Rudy.
Yes, as Alex's child would say.
We forgot to mention last episode, what have other people been reading?
Yes.
Misty is reading Verity and Christmas Tree Farm by Lori Gilmore. And I think I got Misty hooked on the Pumpkin Spice Cafe. So then she also read the Cinnamon Bun Bookstore.
And I texted you about that?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, you had good cinnamon rolls.
No.
No.
I had cinnamon roll ice cream.
That's right.
So I went, and I haven't had Cold Stone in the longest time. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to Cold Stone it up.
Yeah.
So I went to Cold Stone, and usually I'll get coffee ice cream with a brownie and mini marshmallows.
Okay.
Like in there. And what I did this time is I got I got half coffee ice cream, half cinnamon roll ice cream. Ooh. Which I don't know if that's like a normal flavor for them or if it's like just because of the season. So I got that mixed, and then with
I don't think I've ever heard of cinnamon roll ice cream.
Yum.
So good.
It was good. It was very sweet.
Yeah.
Which I think that the coffee helped tone it down.
Yeah.
I definitely think that if you're an adult, you should tone down the sugar for your taste buds. Because as an adult, you won't like it.
Yeah, it's just too much.
Yeah. So, as a child, I think a child would be fine with the level of sweetness.
Yeah.
So, coffee and cinnamon roll ice cream mixed with mini marshmallows. It was delicious. I think that if somebody were to add some banana slices to that,
ooh,
hell yeah.
We had a pie party at work.
I'm jealous.
I know, it's a lot of fun. People look forward to it. We had to schedule it, so I left my job and started a new job. So before I left my last job, we decided to have one last pie party because I'm usually the one that puts it together, and usually it's around Thanksgiving. So we moved it up a few weeks so that we could still have it. Well, someone there is famous for making a French silk pie.
Ooh, yeah.
To the point that our head boss basically wants that pie from her when we have our pie party. So she had to make, because the last time she didn't make the French silk pie, and the superintendent was like, where's the French silk pie? So then this time she's like, I have to make the French silk pie. So she did. And then someone else brought banana cream pie, because that's my favorite.
Right. Love it.
I had them side by side, and I go, what if I take a little French silk pie and a slice of banana with some of that banana pudding?
Yeah.
So good. Like chocolate, banana.
It's like a banana milkshake. Banana chocolate milkshake in a pie.
So good.
Oh my god.
It was like such a perfect combination. Because the French silk is delicious, but it's very rich. Mm-hmm. So the banana kind of...
Yum, yum. Food.
Once again, I think you're right. Talking about pumpkin. Okay, I had a question for you.
Okay.
From a prior episode. You read Loot.
Yes.
Which you loved. Mm-hmm. But you hadn't been able to finish Diavola, which was the same author. Mm-hmm. So why was one better than the other?
I think it was because, for some reason, because of the book cover.
Yeah.
I expected to be...
Just thinking of your book covers.
The twisted one?
Yeah. Oh, Twisted Lies.
Oh, that's gonna follow me to my grave.
Okay.
It's okay, my gravestone is gonna be like, here lies Carla Santalaya. She read Twisted
Lies by Anna Wang. Okay, sorry. I shouldn't shame you. You were misled.
I was misled.
Although, obviously, people can like whatever they want to like.
I'm still going to make fun of it.
Yeah. Okay. So the covers.
So, for some reason, I expected to be, like, I don't know, scared or creeped out, like, from the beginning.
Yeah.
And it wasn't that. And I don't know why I didn't give it a chance.
Yeah.
But for some reason... I don't know my own brain. Yeah. I can't figure myself out. For some reason, when I saw that this author had written Loot, I was like, let's see what this book is about. No reason whatsoever. Oh. Just what a...
It was good, though, because you loved that
I loved
book.
it.
Yeah.
It was so cute. I loved it. But yeah, I'm going to go back to Diavola at some point. And you know what I went back to and I, like, eyeballed?
Yeah.
The nuclear... War one by Annie Jacobson. I was like, I'm coming back to you.
Coming back to it.
I'm coming back to it. I'm eyeballing it. I'm gonna...
Just gotta wait for the right time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So...
We talked in episode, I think, 12 about the ability to jet off, right? Like, how characters in books can just kind of pick up and go, and how kind of unrealistic that is for most people. And it reminded me, after the fact, of Green Lights by Matthew McConaughy.
I didn't read that.
I listened to it on audio, and he read it, which was great because it has his like, all right. But you know, he's a little out there. He's a little spacey, but he had stories like that where he's like, I had this dream that I was like floating down the Amazon River. He's like, so I woke up and I booked a flight and spent 3 weeks doing this thing. And then I'm like, yeah, that's great. Like,
good for you.
But I remember thinking at the time I was reading it, I was like, yeah, no one else can do that.
Yeah.
Like, who can have a dream and then be like, oh, well, I'm going to see what this dream means and go to this distant place and spend a really long time that I don't have to be, showing up at an office for.
One of the short stories in You Like It Darker from the previous episode.
Yeah.
A guy has a dream that he finds a lady's dead body and he's like super freaked about it. It's the same story as the counter guy. Okay, so the counting guy. It's the same story. He has a dream that he finds a dead lady's body and then he goes to the location to see, like, because he can't get it out of his head. He goes and he finds a dead lady and that's what sets off the whole story.
Yeah.
So good.
So good.
Okay, anyway. So yeah, Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah.
There's
I mean, when you have that kind of money and obviously resources, you can wake up the next day and go to the Amazons.
Yeah.
Amazon? Amazonian forest?
Yeah.
The Amazon? A Amazon? An Amazon?
He primed.
Next day arrival.
Yes. He was delivered. Okay,
so Carla, what have you been reading?
So, we both have been reading.
Yes.
The Haunting of Alejandra. By B. Castro.
Yeah. A friend of mine said this is one of her favorite authors.
And I want to read another one of her stories, but I can't remember the name of it now. So, I read this and I kept texting you about it and emailing you about it, thinking that you might like it because it has a lot of generational and family stuff going on. So aside from the scary,
there are some scaries.
There are. I mean, it's gross. Like the way that the creature is described, it's gross.
Yeah.
Is it scary?
No, I guess it's not scary, but like the scenes where like the being, right, is like devouring something and like ripping out.
It's gross.
It's
disgusting. It's like
it's a little like unsettling to me.
Okay. Yeah, definitely. But that's what I'm saying. Like I feel like a lot of people, I feel like a lot of books get thrown into horror because of the description of things being eaten or things being destroyed.
Yeah.
And it's not actually horror. It's just unappetizing. It's not something that you can easily read and be okay with, but it's not scary. Yeah. It's just not cute.
Not cute. So, what the story is about. Yeah. There is this woman, Alejandra, who has 3 children, right? And there are flashbacks and stories to different women in her generation.
I loved that.
Yeah. And it opens with like the first, it was like tribal person, right, that like kind of has this, and it's this, there's a being that comes to them and feeds off of their misery,
sorrow,
their sadness,
and then their death,
and like takes their babies and eats them.
Yeah. So she makes a deal.
That original woman. She makes like a cave woman, because it says that they didn't have language. Did you catch that?
It was no, it was during the colonization in Mexico.
I think when it opens, the being said that they didn't.
All the way back.
Yeah.
That's when she landed here. That's when she came to Earth.
Oh, but it wasn't that first woman. Okay.
No, the first woman who made a deal with her, with like the being, was
like Mayan.
It was during the times
Aztec.
when the Spanish conquerors were in Mexico.
That's right.
Yeah. So, but before that, this being had just kind of like gone around the world, just, you know, eating misery and eating sorrow and just, you know, feasting on that. But with this particular woman, it made a deal. And so it made a deal, and because of that deal, it follows her bloodline and basically just imparts depression on the women of this bloodline
and feeds them negative thoughts to like become suicidal and tells them like they're not good mothers, they're terrible mothers, and they should just kill themselves. So a lot of like mental health and suicidal ideation. And
she probably, the being probably just like feeds on things that would have already been there, but not at the level that it gets, right? Yeah. Because like, I feel like Alejandra would have still had these kinds of thoughts of like fighting internally with what she agreed to in terms of her life.
Marriage and
because whether or not this being would be there or not, she would have still had that struggle with not being happy with how her life ended up. Yeah. And she would not have been satisfied with what her husband was forcing her to accept, basically, because out of like, what is the word? Give me.
Well, we should explain, right, that she married someone basically
who has means,
and she wanted to feel protected and taken care of because she didn't have that as a child,
and she also didn't want to rock the boat.
So she basically said, agreed that she would be a stay-at-home wife and leave her job and be a stay-at-home mom. And then she has 3 kids, and she's feeling very trapped in this life where the husband he's a complete dick, for one.
I think that,
as far as I haven't finished it.
So he doesn't really have any come to Jesus moments. So he continues to be who he is.
He's very self-entitled, very much like, you're the woman of the house, you take care of the kids, you cook me dinner.
And this is what you agreed to.
You satisfy me at night, this is what you agreed to. I'm at the office making money for us, and it's your job to handle everything else.
Literally everything else.
With no support from him, not even supporting her as she starts going to a therapist, like he's not encouraging that or supporting her in that journey.
And it doesn't seem like he likes who she becomes as a person who is, you know, asking for more from this relationship. However, I feel like everybody has the capacity of being or evolving into a dick. You can start, and this person, not this particular person, because this person seems to always have been kind of entitled.
Yeah.
But let's say you've got a regular Joe Schmo, chill. I think that if you don't ask to be respected, and you allow disrespect to happen, it's not going to just stay at that level. Like, that person is going to evolve into someone who will disrespect you, because it's easy to do that as a human. And I've talked about this before. I feel like humans are fine, but I feel like human beings are very flawed. And we will become dicks if we're allowed to become dicks, and if we have no internal stop guards to that. So I think that she also has absolutely no lines drawn in the sand throughout her life with him. There are no boundaries that she is willing to defend. There are no boundaries that she's even willing to set down. So in that sense, I feel like...
But I don't think that makes it okay.
No, I don't think it makes it okay.
Like, he should have some self-awareness.
100%. However, that's just not how a lot of people are. Like, a lot of people will become what you allow them to become. I think that's also important to know when you're going into any sort of relationship. Like, a partnership, a boyfriend-girlfriend, a friendship, any sort of relationship, you have to be your own advocate in that relationship, because you don't know what kind of person that person can become. You know, you guys, go to therapy.
I marked a couple things. Oh, so there's one thing that says Kathy is Alejandra's birth mom. She says the only identifiable thing about Kathy was that, as her family liked to say, Kathy is wonderful because I don't have to worry about her. She always does the right thing.
I think that's a first daughter kind of thing in Latin cultures. And I think maybe in a lot of other cultures, right?
I think there's always a child, right, that seems a little bit more, and maybe, it's the first child, but I have such a vivid memory of reading another book. I think it was The Most Fun We've Ever Had, maybe, by Claire Lombardo. I think it was that one. But it's that same thing where, like, the parents are like, oh, Susie is fine. Susie is fine. And then there's a chapter from Susie that says, like, even if we're fine, we still need attention, too. Like, even if you think that I don't need anything, I still need things. I still need your attention. I still need to be, like, asked if I'm okay. And it was very interesting to see that here also, that, like, oh, yeah, she's fine. She doesn't need anything. She's, like, got it all figured out. But those people still need things. You know, and how often that's dismissed because you have other, like, I feel that way sometimes with our kids, because Jake is our oldest and he is kind of like that. He's like, he can entertain himself and he's fine. And then the other two are younger and need more attention or hand holding, that I fear so much that that's what we do to Jake sometimes. Like, he's fine. He can figure out what to do for the next hour while we handle X, Y, and Z with the other two. And I try to keep that in mind, that I'm like, well, he still needs our time and attention, even if he's not asking for it by acting out or, you know, needing things. So I thought that was really interesting.
Another thing that I saw within the dynamic of this particular family was that because of the way that the father was acting toward Alejandra, and his name is Matthew, because of how Matthew acts toward his wife, the children see her as basically, like, they love her, but also there's a part where
where the son was like, get me this, right? Or like, you can clean it up or something like that.
Like she tells them to put away their stuff or something and they're like, you're the one that does that.
Yeah.
Like I would have been like, oh hell no. And see, this is probably why I can't have kids either, because like I'd be like, oh hell no.
No, but then that's also part of parenting. Then you tell your kid, right? Like, no, I'm not your maid, and no, it's not my job. But I think you're right in that sense about Alejandra not drawing that line. Yeah. Like not being confident enough in herself to say, no, that's not my job. Like, or no, that's not what I am here for. You're going to
learn to pick up your own stuff because you're a child and you need to learn how to pick up your own stuff. Like, and those kids, had Alejandra not gone through the changes that she goes through, those kids are going to be awful when they grow up.
Yeah.
So good for her.
Yeah.
Because as a father, Matthew was allowing this too.
Yes.
So.
Well, I don't think he fathered very much.
Yeah, that's true.
There was, I think one of the other things I highlighted was that he was like really good at like playing with the kids or being silly with them. I forget where it was. I feel like I marked it somehow. Oh, he always had time for silly games, and this was something that I mentioned to Jeff recently because he'll mess around with the kids a lot. Mm-hmm. And like they get very loud, and I'm like, oh my god, it's just a matter of time before someone gets hurt. Mm-hmm. And like that causes me anxiety because then I have to comfort them and take care of them. And that's how I view that experience. And then when I've talked about it with Jeff, he's like, I love those moments with the kids. Like that makes me happy, right? Like making them laugh and having those moments with them. I'm like, oh, it's so interesting from like a male and female perspective how we react, I think, chemically differently to those scenarios. Like for him, making the kids laugh and be silly and do that kind of stuff literally releases endorphins. For me, the happiness with my kids is like being like the comforter or the caregiver, like cuddling and doing that with the kids. And I feel like it's such a different distinction on how, you know, the men are from Mars and women are from Venus. Like we just have very different reactions to what brings us happiness and what we provide to our kids. So it was interesting that she mentioned that in here, that he likes playing silly games, because it is something that I think I've been putting together in life. That like, oh yeah, I think that is a male and female difference in like parenting and raising children.
That sucks for the kids that don't have that, right?
Yeah,
like both of us, we didn't have that.
Yeah.
Bummer
sauce. And maybe I'm wrong. I mean, I'm like just extrapolating from like my own observations and stuff, but I thought it was interesting to see it again, to see something in a book and be like, oh yeah, that's something I can relate to.
So the creature thing.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that we got a perspective of the creature.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was fun. At first, okay, when she's making the first deal with this woman, at first I thought, is this going to be like a vengeful creature that's like not great, like you're not good, but also go do it, you know, because she does say that she's going to fuck up this man's life also. Yes. And
that was dark.
And so basically the reason that the first woman makes the deal is because she feels trapped. She is desperate.
Yeah.
And she's being subjugated by this man who is one of the Spanish conquistadors.
Yeah.
So the creature makes a deal with her, and she tells her that, like, basically, she's making a deal with basically the devil.
Yeah.
But she's also going to fuck up this man's life and his bloodline. So I was like, oh, get it.
Well, his bloodline by extinguishing it.
Yeah, but you know, like, you know how I feel about revenge. Love it. Yes. Love a revenge story. So at first when I read that, I was like, maybe this is, because she's supposed to be La Llorona, right?
Yeah.
Maybe La Llorona is not what we've been told. Like, we're gonna get a different story about La Llorona. Yeah. Maybe she's this thing that gets vengeance for women. Yeah. And the women also, you know, they get fucked as well. But it turns out that no. I was like, shucks, bummer. But it turns out that no, she's not this. I thought that we were going to get that kind of story. Yeah. And I was really excited to read that kind of story. And then we didn't get that kind of story. Yeah. Which was like, boo, somebody write that kind of story.
Someone who's from Mexico.
Oh, yeah. So I thought that could have been a really interesting thing because I thought that that's where we were going. And yeah. But yeah, it turns out that
I'm curious to see how it ends, obviously.
A mean spirit.
Yeah. Yeah, the visuals of that being are pretty intense.
I know. But you know what I didn't like? Why does it have to be described the same every single time?
You're correct. Well, I did notice that it's being described by different characters. Mm-hmm. So maybe it's to make the point that they're all seeing the same thing.
Okay.
Like, to me, when it mentioned, like, the fish scales, mm-hmm. right? I'm like, oh, well, to me, it's making sure that we, as the reader, understand it's the same being.
But I feel like there's only one creature in this book.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't have to be hammered that much, right?
Yeah.
Maybe it was to just be gross throughout the book because it's gross. She's nasty gross. Looking, y'all. Yeah. Maybe it's just to add to the grossness of it, to the ickiness.
I mean, it did give me an ick every time I read it, even though it was the same every time.
Yeah. I mean, this creature is pretty icky. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, maybe that's what it was, just to drive it home. So you haven't finished it.
Umbilical cords. Yeah.
And her dress was kind of made out of skin. Ew.
Yeah.
So
it's gross.
Yeah. She's nasty, y'all. She's gross.
I will say I'm enjoying the storyline. Mm-hmm. And not loving the icky parts, but I can get through them.
Yeah.
And still enjoy, and I'm still curious to, like, see where it leads and where it goes.
So she goes to a therapy person.
Who's also like a curandera.
Yeah, she's
an herbal remedy. Mm-hmm. What would you call a curandera in English? It's not like a witch doctor. Or is it?
A wise woman?
A wise woman?
Maybe.
A seer?
No. So yeah, I would I mean, in Mexican culture, curanderas are very normal.
Yeah.
Like, even, if you're having, like, a bad time at life, you go get a limpia.
Yeah. Have you ever had one?
I haven't had one. I don't think that I...
You think you need to believe in it in order for it to...
And I don't... Like, I think it's an interesting thing to know about. Like, yeah. I want to hear all the nitty-gritty stories. Like I said, I please hire me. In the previous episode, I did want to be hired to listen to all these weirdo stories.
Extra.
Yeah.
Not terrestrial, but...
Just all the stuff that's, fringe.
Yes.
So, I know about that stuff, but I don't think I believe in anything, like, I don't think I believe in anything.
Yeah.
So...
I'm so excited to hear about La Llorona showing up at your bedside tonight.
Oh, that's mean.
Just to prove that they exist.
No, I don't need proof. I just want stories. So, yeah, I don't think that I would ever do that. Maybe for the massage factor, because they do hit you with plants.
Yeah.
So I would imagine that that's nice for your skin at some point.
Do you think it's nice? Do you think it hurts?
But
I think it's, like, pretty violent.
You're gonna get exfoliated.
What was, remember the girl with the louding voice?
Nice? No.
Did you read that one? It was a book pick. But there's kind of something like that happens where they take the girls to have this kind of ceremony, like a cleaning ceremony, but it was, like, aggressive.
Well, I think that there's levels to that stuff, too.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, because, like, for example, there's one part where the therapist gives her Florida water, which when I read that...
What does that mean? I read that and I go... Oh.
I read that too, and I was like, what the heck is Florida water? Yeah. Like, what does Florida have to do with Mexican customs, right?
Don't give me Florida water.
It's not Florida. It's Florida. Which is flowers.
Oh.
And it's like orange blossoms and other kind of, and like herbs and stuff. And I looked it up and I was like, shit, that might smell amazing.
Yeah.
I want to, maybe. So I looked up Florida water, and it is a cologne perfume. It can be used as skincare because it can soothe. You
have a hummingbird too.
Yeah, we have a little hummingbird. And we're still waiting for a tenant for our birdhouse.
Oh, well, I just saw a little hummingbird came to visit.
It's a citrus-scented cologne. And I remember reading that it had other stuff, though. But, yeah, it's not Florida. It's Florida.
That's so funny. My mind definitely went to Florida, the state. And I go, I don't want Florida water.
And I didn't understand how that could have any sort of correlation to Mexico.
I was like, is it oranges? I guess it is kind of oranges, citrusy.
Oh, okay, yeah. So, anywho, so she goes to this therapist who's also a curandera. And that was the part, like, I get that, like, I'm reading about that kind of stuff. But at the same time, it's so, it's like I was telling you, it's a little bit too woo-woo for me.
Yeah.
And
I will say I've started, well, also, maybe I was rushing to finish for today, but I've kind of started, like, skimming a little bit. Especially over the woo-woo stuff.
Yeah.
But, you know, some people need the woo-woo.
Some people like the woo-woo.
Or need it, even.
Love it.
You know, if you're not Alejandra going through a really tough time, you need that. And maybe someone reading this book needs to hear that.
I don't know that I've ever been the kind of person that, like, has an altar, or that I will become a person that has an altar, but, like, I just don't, I'm not
talking about a physical altar, because in the book she makes an altar at home as a means of kind of protection, kind of a place to
reflect and be able to, like, be at peace. And I'm not that kind of person. Like, I'm very, like, let's throw everything away. Yeah. And that kind of person seems to me to be a lot more emotionally tied to things. And I'm very flighty. So I tend to...
The kind of person that throws away a TV.
Yeah. You guys, I threw away a TV. Anyway, ridiculous.
A working person. TV, we should say.
Yeah.
Carla just didn't want to deal with it.
Look, it was... I needed to be done with the day.
So the TV went to the trash, and now she has no TV.
Right. I need to buy one, or not.
So no altars.
No altars. I don't think so. So for me, that part of the book is a little bit. I don't. It's
hard to relate to.
Yeah, I don't relate.
Yeah.
Even though I feel like I'm interested in that part of the culture. Yeah. It's like I want to peek into it, but I don't think that I would ever participate in it.
Have you ever done a Dia de los Muertos altar? Me neither.
My mom lights a candle sometimes.
Yeah.
But we didn't do it this year.
Yeah.
Sorry. Abuelita.
Oh. I remember when I was really little and lived in Guatemala, we would go to the cemetery to just clean up like the area where my grandma's family is buried. So we would wash the lápidas, the headstones, and like clean out the flower things and put fresh flowers. But that was we never did like an altar at home. The kids have a lot of exposure to it through their school because of their program. So they have a whole Dia de los Muertos event and stuff. Yeah. So we've been exposed to it a little more, but I think next year I might try to do one. Okay. Just because I feel like it is kind of a nice cultural...
Yeah, it's cute. It's nice and,
to have like a place to...
Yeah. And I feel like it also creates like a sense of community, maybe. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe we should both try one next year.
Okay.
So overall, you liked it?
Yeah. I enjoyed it. I still think that even though I didn't connect a lot, I did like the way that it was written. Yeah. I liked the character's progression. Yeah. I did find it a little bit troubling what she does at the end. And I don't know that it's responsible. Okay. For that to be part of a book. However, it's a story.
To see what it is.
It's a story.
Yeah.
And whatever you do, don't do with that what you will. But I thought, I questioned the responsibility of that part of the storyline.
Okay.
So, whatever.
Yeah. I love the cover. I like flowers. Obviously, we like our florals. And then I couldn't make sense of what was in it. And then Josh this morning, he's like, oh, it's a skull.
Let me see.
Oh, yeah. Inside.
Oh, yeah.
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 That's pretty. Okay. Well, it was nice to read a book together.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that.
What have you been reading?
Okay. I have... should I share family books that are Thanksgiving-ish or holiday books?
Holiday books.
Holiday books. Okay.
Just hear those sleigh bells.
Okay, so I've been reading a lot of ARCs for holiday books because they all kind of came out earlier, so I've been saving them to discuss a little bit later when it was closer to the holidays, which means I remember nothing of them, but whatever notes I have. So we're going to go with that. Okay, so holiday books.
Okay.
I think one of my favorite ones is called We Three Kings. Mm-hmm. And it explores, Maggie is the main character, and she works as an IT supervisor at a company.
Okay.
And she has 3 employees, all male. Mm-hmm. And their office is in like the basement of this building, is where the IT people are. You seem to have questions already.
No, I'm agreeing with yeah.
Yeah. So they're like the abandoned department that like they forgot to invite them to the company's Christmas party.
What?
I know.
Rude.
I know. So Maggie took out her 3 guys to like have their own little celebration.
Yeah.
Because she felt really bad.
To discuss how they're going to hack everybody's computer and fuck up the whole company.
Well, it's funny because they make little references to like, oh, I passed Bob in the hallway. Bob who like, secretly downloads whatever. And I'm like, oh, they do. Like, those IT people really do see everything. Right? So be careful what you do on those work computers. This is another, it takes place in England. So it's Leo, Jasper. Oh, of course I didn't write down the other one. There's 3 guys. So she gets told right before Christmas break.
Frankincense.
You know what? I think it was Frank. Oh my god, I think it is Frank. I think his name was Frank. That's weird.
Well, because it's a Christmas story, right? We Three Kings or whatever the heck.
Yes.
It's about the three wise men.
Frankincense, myrrh. Frankincense was a gift, not the
king.
I
know, but Frank.
Okay.
His name is Frank.
I think it is Frank. That's really funny. I'll have to confirm. She gets called into like the boss's office, like the Friday before they're going off for spring break, and told that
Christmas break?
Yes.
It's a Christmas story.
It is a Christmas story.
It was not spring break.
Oh, did I say spring break?
Yes. I'm like, what the heck?
And she gets told that the company is sizing down, and she has to pick one of her people to fire. It's called a redundancy, is the British word for it, or is it the American
We've been
word?
made redundant.
Yes. So, and she doesn't have any plans for Christmas because her parents are out of town, and the 3 guys that she works with had planned for her to join them for a period of time during the break. So, like, she's going to go to one person's house and do something with them, and then the other person's house and the other person's house.
Yo, this is a very nice team.
Super nice.
Yeah.
She's like, she came into the team and was like the mom that brought them all together and took care of them, which I loved seeing the little things that she did for work, because I think it's what I love doing at work, is these little touches or decorating or these little things that make people a little bit happier in their workplace, and she does that. And I go, oh, that's me. I love doing that stuff. It makes me so happy. So they've grown to love her back. So they didn't want her to be alone for Christmas. So yeah, they each said like, you're coming with me for these days, and you're coming, like, I need someone, or she offered to be one of the guys' dates to his sister's wedding because he didn't have a date. So the book is like following her along to each of these people's homes and meeting their families.
And deciding which one she's going to cut.
And the whole time being like, should I tell them now? Should I wait till we get back? I'm like, yeah, how do you pick which one?
Speaking of which, should she tell them now or should she wait until after the Christmas break? I have an answer for that, but I want to hear your answer for that.
I think before.
I think before too.
Yeah.
And the reason is so that they don't go ham during Christmas, because a lot of people like go into debt during that time.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's not how I was looking at it, but
how were you looking at it?
Just from like a openness and transparency.
I was looking at it from saving them from bad financial decisions that might be very negative for them in January.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously that timing sucks, right? But, so yeah, it follows her going with each of these 3 different men to their families, and she learns more, obviously, about them and their backstories, which I find very interesting from, like, how many people do you work with or see in your work life, and you don't really know anything about their personal lives and, like, all of the things that maybe they are struggling with or dealing with. So I think that was super interesting. She got insight into, you know, and you can work through your preconceived notions. Like, there was one guy that she thought was super rich and wealthy, and, like, you know, it turns out that I don't want to spoil it. I guess I already did. It turned out that it wasn't what she thought, obviously. So I love that idea. And then obviously one of the 3 she has like romantic feelings for.
Of course, it's
you
frankincense.
have your happily ever after. But it was a really cute story. Obviously, at the end, you have kind of your 3rd act conflict where she has to like tell them that one of them needs to get fired. Yes,
I have another name for
Carla's raising her hand.
for the other gift. So you know how the other king gives myrrh?
Yeah.
That person is Myron.
Okay.
I don't know what gold will be.
Oh, that's what it is, right? Frankincense, gold, and myrrh.
But what?
Gary?
No, it would be maybe the last name. Maybe it would be
Goldman?
yeah.
Is that too spot on?
No, that's where I was going. I go for the lowest hanging fruit.
So I really liked it. I liked all of the characters in that book. I liked the different character developments. Obviously, they all have like little dramas in their lives and how she can, you know, help them and how they help her. I thought it was a cute little Christmas story. And they travel through England, so it takes place in like different places in England, which is always fun for me.
I'm sure they had some tea.
They did have a lot of tea. Do you have any other books to read?
Yes.
Yeah, go for it.
I finished the trilogy, the Strain trilogy, from Guillermo del Toro and Chuck Hogan. The Strigoi.
I know, but did you have other stuff to talk about? Because you talked about that one on the last episode. No,
I need to go into 2 and 3.
Okay.
So, what I really enjoyed about this trilogy is that you get a freaking... What are you laughing about?
We're going from, like, super cutesy, like, happily ever afters, and then we're going into, like...
to vampires named Strigois.
I love it.
So, what I loved is that you get an origin story.
Yes.
And the origin story is fucked. And I love that.
Tell me all about it.
I can't.
Without spoiling.
I can't. It's so good. It's such a good origin story.
I'm so happy for you.
Me too. I was listening to that part. Oh, by the way, unfortunately, book 2 and 3 are not narrated by Ron Perlman.
Oh, they couldn't get him, huh?
Oh, man.
Maybe he's in high demand.
Maybe. Ron Perlman, please.
Who's sounding desperate now?
Please come back to the narration. So anywho, okay, so basically shit has fallen apart by book 2, okay? Book 2 is like, now we're into basically like, we're in a vampire nation now. Because everybody is just getting chomped. Yeah. I really enjoy the backstory of the people that are fighting against them. You get these little backstories into them. There's Gus. He is like one of the people that like helped this happen. Yeah. Because like way back in the first book, he gets approached and he's told that he has to take the master's coffin out, but he doesn't know that it's the master's coffin. He's just getting paid to like do this shady transportation thing, right? So he does it, and like, so he's one of the reasons that like the world has fallen apart. So that's fun. And then, you know, his friend ends up getting bitten or like wormed.
Poked?
Yeah, by that worm thing.
Yeah.
And he ends up having to kill his friend, and it's crazy. And then whatever. So that all happened in the first book, right?
Yeah.
So you continue in this storyline with these characters, and you get that origin story, which is
chef's kiss.
Yes. And then the master is like super crazy, wants to like control everything.
Well, that makes sense.
There's ancients also, because he's one of the 7 ancients of these like vampire people.
Is this like throwing back to Twilight?
Not even a little bit. Not even a little bit.
They have like the old vampire.
Yeah,
the old vampires.
They do.
Yeah,
but these creatures are so much worse.
They're not hot Edward Cullens.
No, they're so much worse. They're like awful. I love it. And also you get a little glimpse into like humanity basically having a huge hand in destroying itself.
Yeah.
Because so not a spoiler, but like the ancients have basically been controlling human progress for a very long time. For like a very long time. Like since biblical times.
Yeah.
And when World War II happens, or like the stuff leading up to World War II and during World War II, it kind of gave the ancients like, oh, this is what we can do to, you know, because like they had a plan for world domination already, and they were just moving humanity toward it, and it was a slow go, but like for them it's not a slow go at all. Because they're, you know, eternal. So once, you know, the destruction that humanity did against itself during those times, they were like, we can do the same.
Let's just do that.
Yeah. So nuclear power is something that they progressed us toward.
Interesting.
Yeah, all of these things like that are bad within our world are things that we have been progressed into by these ancients.
Yeah. Little whispers.
I love it.
Yeah.
They control everything. So then, but humanity is, you know, humanity being humanity, we're not fighting it.
Yeah.
We're going along with it. So it's like we are basically being cattled into this corral. Yeah. So I really like that. I've always enjoyed reading books like that where it's like, man, we suck, man. Can totally see it, you know?
Yeah.
So then that, and then basically the master, the 7th of the ancients, just doesn't want to play along. He wants to be by himself. He wants to control by himself. So he you know, strikes out and does his thing, and it's a really, really well crafted trilogy. The dots connect beautifully.
Ooh, I love it.
And the ending is the only thing that the ending could be.
Oh,
I love
it. That's exciting.
Yeah, I really liked it. So, I don't know, read it if you want to. Come along with me in this book about vampires. What have you been reading?
So another super cute holiday read. But yeah, another ARC that I read was Snow is Falling. There's a lot of like Hallmark holiday books that are like take place in an inn, and you have like the snowy inn and whatever. Yeah. That's how this one started.
Oh my god, we are like so on the same page. Why? But like not.
Tell me more.
Okay, because you're talking about a snowy inn, right?
Yes.
And I was going to tell you, and maybe this was going to get completely cut, but whatever, I don't care because whatever. I was going to tell you that I have recently watched Dr. Sleep, which is a book by Stephen King that I refused to read because it was kind of like tied to The Shining.
Okay.
Which I never wanted to read that book because I didn't like the movie.
Okay.
And The Shining is a hotel in the snow.
Oh.
So right now that you were like snowy in, and I was like, oh my god, but add creepiness to it. So, anywho, the point is that I recently watched Dr. Sleep.
Yeah.
And that movie made me think maybe I should read the book.
Yeah.
But then, since that is like a sequel to The Shining, I was like, okay, do I need to read The Shining and rewatch The Shining to see if I actually do like the movie? And the answer is yes. I do have to do it. So I'm going to read those two books. I'm going to watch The Shining.
And then tell us.
Maybe.
How it goes.
Maybe I'll do that. Yeah.
Well,
I'm going to do it, but maybe I'll tell you.
The snowy inn is not creepy. It's very cutesy.
All right.
I was afraid it was going to be kind of a rinse and repeat. Like, sometimes the storylines right in your Hallmark romances are pretty standard and typical, and there's parts of it that I enjoy, but it's nice to read something that's a little different and not following kind of like the exact same formula. This one was cute because it had a different family dynamic. So the two main characters are older. The guy has two like teenage kids, and the woman has like adult children that sent her to this little inn as like a break from being left by her husband. Again,
being able to just go away.
Just go away. Her kids treated her because she was like, she has this little apartment and she was finalizing her divorce stuff, and her kids were like, you need a break. We're going to send you over here for like the Christmas break or whatever.
Okay.
And the guy's family are the owners of the inn. And he had been estranged from them for a while, and he goes back and takes his kids who are teenagers. And, you know, obviously they meet.
So it's an old romance.
It's an older people romance.
Which, remember that we had talked about in a very old episode.
Yeah.
Love it.
I like it. But it was cute. I really enjoyed seeing them kind of come together and realize that they still both had kind of like, I guess it's a second chance trope. What I really liked, I was reading this book around the same time that I was reading Last Summer at the Golden Hotel, which was my buddy read a while back. And in that book, one of the moms is trying to shield her kids from what's happening with her husband, and she like refuses to tell her children or treat them kind of, I think they were both older teenagers.
Okay.
And she's in her mind trying to protect them right from like what their dad did, and like probably an impending divorce and all this kind of stuff.
Did the dad cheat, or did the
dad had
have financial troubles that
he
were
was
too big?
a doctor, and it turned out that he was like prescribing like opioid stuff, and there was like this big lawsuit that was coming down the pipeline, right? And her kids are like, Mom, what's wrong? Like, you seem really stressed. And she's like, it's fine, everything is fine. And like just not being open with her children about what was happening.
They're not going to notice their lives falling apart in a few months, right?
When she's like, pack up a bag, we're leaving, you know? And then, like, the feds came and, like, looked through their house, and she's like, it's fine, everything's fine. Whereas the dad in this one, the main male character that has, like, the teenage kids, was, like, the opposite of that, where he was, like, very much telling his kids, like, this is what's happening, this is a situation, obviously in a age-appropriate way. But especially reading those side by side, it was so nice to see that comparison of like, I don't know, parenting is hard, and knowing what the right thing to do is hard, but I like that openness that he had with his kids. I think
that is best.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
I think as your children get older, I'm sure it is hard. Obviously my kids are still younger, but I see it even with Jake, you know, who's 11, that, you know, they want to be treated as someone who can be trusted or older. Jake just likes being able to go get something by himself in the grocery store, you know, like he gets such a kick out of having that little bit of independence.
Yeah.
But it is hard, I think, as a parent to start trusting them with more or letting them into more of reality of life, when sometimes it's not always
you just kind of want to keep people in a bubble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was cute. I had a few other Christmas books, but I don't think they were as great.
Okay.
But
fair.
Oh, Love You a Latke. Latke. Latke? Love You a Latke. How do you say it?
Well, now I feel under pressure. Latke? I feel it's...
I think that's it.
I think it's Latke.
Yeah, that'll be my last one I'll talk about. But it was cute. It was this young woman who has kind of walked away from her faith in her Jewish community, and she's living in a small little town. Love a small little town romance. And she gets put in charge of putting on a Hanukkah festival for her town, which has like one other Jewish person that lives in it, which just so happens to be this guy that she hates. So yada yada yada, they work together to make this Hanukkah loving festival. Each other a lot. Yes, they do. It was fun because they end up going to New York for a part of it, so you had kind of the small town vibe for part of it, and then you had like Christmas in New York City vibe for another part of it, like snow and Christmas lights and the tree farm, while they're like trying to find all of these Hanukkah vendors to put on their Hanukkah festival. I feel like I learned a lot, which I love. I love exploring like new cultures or different traditions. So like learning about the origins of Hanukkah and like different stuff. I found that very interesting.
Okay.
So that one was fun. So love you, Latke.
Who's the author, though?
Oh, I didn't write it down.
Oh, Alex, you should always foresee my question.
Well, that is a basic thing that I definitely should have had on there. Amanda Elliot.
Okay.
Just cute. And the cover's cute. No, cute. So yeah, get those Christmas books in, guys. Let me know if you have any suggestions.
I'm gonna describe what the strigoi turn into. Okay.
Okay.
So the first thing is that there's this like worm, and that's like the parasite that turns you into a strigoi, a vampire.
Okay.
And so first, like in them, you can see worms sometimes crawling under their skin, which is ew. And then also they start like.
I wish you guys could see my face right now.
Also, like they start losing their hair, like they're hairless, and they're.
I mean, convenient for some parts of your body.
Of course.
Yeah.
But also, I like complaining about what my hair is doing today.
Yeah.
Like.
It would take away a conversation topic.
Like, why is my hair so frizzy?
Yeah.
Or why is my hair just not whatever, you know?
Yeah.
And then their middle finger becomes like a long, like talon-like thing that they can like, you know, hurt you with. And then also they're sexless because in the origin story it tells you that they do not procreate.
They are made.
They are made by, you know, biting or whatever.
So there's no sex.
There's no sex.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and then.
What makes them happy? I guess they don't.
No.
They're not happy.
They're not. They're just like,
just
destructive beings. It's gross. I loved it. So, anyway.
Interesting.
Ew.
I wonder if they would be less destructive beings if they had sexual organs and were able
well,
to
they're
have
being
sex.
led by the master.
Yeah.
So they're like a hive mind kind of thing.
Like bees.
Yeah. Like he can see through them. He can communicate through them. Yeah. It's good shit.
I will pass, but I'm so excited you found your happy ghosties. Vampires.
5 ghosties. 5 bangs.
Well, thank you, everyone. I hope that you guys have found a book that makes you really happy. Hopefully you heard one from us that you will read and enjoy.
Yeah, let us know if you're going to dive into any of those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or if you have read something that's really exciting, make sure to share it.
Yeah, please do.
Happy reading.
Bye.
Bye.